Well, good morning. And welcome to episode 23.
What's up, everybody?
Good morning.
We've got extra special guests in the studio with us today. We told you this was coming down the line, and here it is. So
Here it is.
you're stuck with the regular old Joes.
Yeah,
or
the guys who
regular
break
old
the lenses.
Joshes.
And then lovely Haley Tallman.
Hello.
And then you can't see right now, but Chris is also in the room with us. Chris, you should just walk awkwardly behind us while JB is doing something.
I'm being awkward.
He's being awkward.
let
So
me get
hey,
this.
this is the
Are
perfect
we
time.
keeping this? We're keeping this. Okay.
Oh, for sure. Hey, they gotta see your face, brother.
Yeah, come on back in
'Cause
here.
otherwise
Actually,
they'll be like-
just come take a seat for a few seconds.
Oh,
Okay.
That's Chris. Everybody say hi, Chris.
hi, Chris.
There we go. Look at that. You're part of the podcast, man.
We did
Part of
what we
the
said we would
podcast.
do.
Oh man,
So
It's so cramped in here.
it's all right.
we're working on it.
Keep going. I know, right?
Are you calling me fat?
No.
Okay.
I think
I'm just
that is
checking.
not what's happening.
Just checking.
Okay.
He's still reading.
All right.
He's just
So
studying.
JB is prepping. He's prepping for the episode right here.
Study,
but
study.
while he's doing that, welcome. We're super excited to have Haley here with us and Chris, even though he's not on screen the whole time.
Right.
We're excited for both of them to be here. We're gonna drink some coffee.
yes,
Okay.
we
We're
are.
gonna talk about
We're
coffee.
gonna do that.
So Haley, just for all of our
She confessed something to us.
yes, she did. So Haley, just I think in the interest of transparency,
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you should just
Do it now.
Just
voice
confess.
that
Confess it now.
confession
Yep.
to all of our viewers and listeners.
I don't drink black coffee.
Okay.
It's
And-
out there. I feel much better now.
You good?
I feel a weight.
And what do
Like,
we
you
say?
feel like that's
Listeners,
like-
viewers, we always say drink coffee in the way that it makes you happy.
But I'm drinking black coffee today.
Okay.
I want to make that clear, and they can't see it, but
Solidarity.
I promise.
It
Solidarity.
is.
It
It
is.
is.
It's
Like
black
there's
truly-
no creamer here. So
No.
yeah.
I'm doing it.
Okay, so today we are drinking again for my good friend Zach Vasquez in Miami, Florida, an Ethiopian Dorato Bombay. So this is from the Sodoma region, light roast. So Dorato Bombay is the farm that it came from, but it is the Sodoma region of Ethiopia. It's a natural process. This is 100% Arabica, and it is an Ethiopian heirloom. The altitude is 2050 to 2150. This is the 2022 Good Food Award finalist, this particular coffee. About the coffee in 2006, Dea Bensa Coffee was established by two brothers, Asefa and Mulageta Dugamo, who had been working within the Sodoma region in coffee. See how fast I did that?
I was impressed.
I would
You know
love
what
it
I
if you would say that one more time.
It's like you do it with full confidence.
That's all you
That's
gotta
all
do.
you got to do.
It's
Yeah.
probably, if these guys aren't watching, but they would be offended, but I probably cussed in their language or something. They operate 16 washing stations and 4 dry mills within Sodoma. The Dorato Bombay is collected from 626 farmers in Dorato of Bombay Kabela village in the Bensa Woreto district of the Sodoma zone. The village shares its name with the mountain of Bombay on which the coffee grows. Meticulous processing occurs at the, Josh,
you want me to do the
what is that?
Confidence.
kunkna?
Okay, mill, where it is sun-dried as whole cherries for 10 to 15 days, creating a fruit-forward and complex flavor profile.
Ooh, so you just gave us a hint. There's supposed to be a fruit
Okay,
flavor.
let's see
A
what we
fruit
get.
Flavor. Which all
I see them,
most
so
of
I'm not
most
gonna-
of the Ethiopians tend to have that fruity.
Always fruity, citrusy.
So, which I'm like last week.
If she gets one right, we have to quit.
I'm just proud of myself that I'm drinking black coffee and not making any faces at all. It's actually really good. It's really good.
But if you're gonna make a face,
It's really good.
If you're gonna make a face, just make it like a
What's happening?
super pretentious kind of like.
Yes.
Like, let me taste it.
Walrus mustache.
Am I supposed to drink it like a certain, hold it with my pinky out?
Yes.
Or something?
You can do that for added effect, but then you have to. What do you and Kinsey say? You got to like roll it around your
Swirl it.
tongue,
Yes.
swirl
Let
it.
it fall off the sides of your tongue because there are different taste buds in different parts of your mouth.
I'm not that bougie.
He's not that bougie, Chris says. That's fair. Okay,
mean-
so what do we taste?
Coffee. I
Okay.
taste coffee.
This
And
is
no, I
profound.
would say, I don't know.
See, I want to say, and I'm going to be wrong,
Okay.
but I, it reminds me of like in some ways of like an orange.
Okay.
I was gonna say lemon,
Okay.
Okay.
Lemon,
like
orange.
citrus. I would say citrus.
Citrus?
or cherry.
cherry.
Tart
Okay.
cherry? Tart cherry.
Josh Alaba,
Tart
right?
cherry.
Yeah.
He got it. Okay.
That was ridiculous. I must say,
We
I'm
were
going to go on
shamed.
record that I literally, my jaw dropped when I was doing post-production.
So did JB's. Like, his
I was
facial
so
expression.
surprised
Like,
when you got that right.
We were publicly shamed
Yeah.
by a Folgers Maxwell House guy who shamed us. No offense, Josh, but you were fantastic.
I was
No,
laughing
there's
in
no
my
shame,
office
we were giving him
because
mad
you guys
props.
never. It just,
never
and then he
did.
sits there and he just like bombs. I was like, oh my gosh, did he cheat?
He did.
And then he made, so this was super cool. So he wanted
did.
to, I think, help me feel like less of a moron for not ever getting these right.
Mm-hmm.
So he made a couple of pieces of tart cherry pie, like his grandma's recipe.
Such a great
He's
dude.
just like, oh, this is how I know
Such a
like tart
great
cherry
dude.
because
Yeah.
my grandma makes this pie or whatever. And it was delicious pie.
Yeah.
I actually told him we should probably start doing like pie tastings on the podcast
Ooh.
instead of coffee, but that would be a
Red
challenge.
Church with Mark Sayers, they always do pastries. But we need to do this as well, even though he's off camera. Chris is a coffee person. He's drinking it. Chris, what do you taste? And we'll relay your thoughts. What did you taste? His cup is empty for those not.
I mean,
What did he taste? Let's see.
You can still hit a mine if you want. I'm not weird about stuff like that.
I'd say, I mean, definitely some citrusy,
Citrus.
strawberry,
Strawberry. Okay.
kind of juicy.
Juicy. It definitely has a juicy clarity. I agree.
Okay,
with
so
you.
he's way fancier than me.
Okay, here we go.
Making me and Josh look bad.
Here we go.
Please be citrus. Please be citrus.
Raspberry,
Oh,
plum, and blueberry.
Okay, so I still suck at this. That's it's official.
you know that's okay.
It's okay.
It's all right.
It's all right.
I was really holding out hope for myself. But it's okay.
So JB,
Yes.
what do you call a sad strawberry?
This is coming from Mr. Chris Tallman himself. I'm switching cameras to Josh for this. Josh, I don't know what you call a sad strawberry.
A blueberry.
Our 4-year-old runs around telling that joke.
Virtual high five to Chris.
That's right.
Oh my
We got that one
gosh.
from Chris. That was good.
And those of you that watch the podcast, listen to the podcast regularly, or know Pastor Josh, he loves dad jokes.
I do.
He
There's a new
absolutely.
one.
Oh
There's
my
a new one
gosh,
for
he
you.
loves them.
Yeah.
I do too.
And it really fit. It worked right into the coffee
coffee.
discussion.
Yes,
I really
it did.
liked
that
it.
Was, that was
It did.
Good
perfect.
job,
It's almost
guys.
like- that was almost like a prophetic dad joke
Because he told the joke before we started recording.
that you were.
This is also not my first cup of this particular coffee.
No, it is your first cup because you had the Sakura.
This is the Bombay from the.
No, what's that one? That's Ethiopian something else though.
What you made at your house?
That's a Sakura. This is the first bag I pulled from the freezer of the Bombay this morning. So this is new.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Let it be known that I'm about to drink my last sip of black coffee, and I did it.
Like, and you finished the entire cup?
Way to go.
Empty. And it was good.
She's
And I was-
running home. She's running home.
Well, that'll take forever. All right.
So yesterday's message.
Hey, before we do that,
sorry.
real quick, I want to like just
Oh,
for
yeah,
our
yeah,
listeners,
yeah.
viewers, I think we should do like a at least a brief Q&A,
Okay.
Brief.
like so they
Got
can
it.
kind of get to know
I agree.
Haley.
Good
Okay.
idea.
Great.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, and that's a nice
I
specific
hate that question. It's like, what would you like to know about me?
Where are you from? What kind of stuff are you into? Like, yeah, are you? Who's
Okay.
this random Chris guy that you came with?
I just
Like,
found him at the airport.
just found him at the airport?
Yeah, I told someone that yesterday. I just needed to bring someone. So I'm Haley. I am from High Point, North Carolina, and I work at Radio Life Church.
Remotely.
Yesterday we were laughing because someone walked up to me and asked me if I was from the newspaper because I was taking pictures, and I said no, and then I didn't really know how to answer him, and I said I work here. Then I was like, it's complicated.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, so I do all the post production for the church.
She
and
produces
graphics.
this
Yeah,
podcast.
I produce this podcast,
Yes.
so I'm gonna be
Yeah.
can't wait to watch myself back.
Okay,
Everybody
now
loves
you're,
that.
You're not allowed to cut out anything of yourself.
No.
You're like, oh no, because you just gotta leave it all
Let
in.
it roll.
Deal.
Leave it all in.
Deal. And then, so graphics and design and creative and all that stuff, I do all of that. So that's fun. Chris and I have been married for almost 6 years in April. And we have 2 kids. Graham is 4 and Scotty is she'll be 2 in June. So we got our hands full with some littles, keeping us busy. And yeah, I mean, when you have kids, it's like, what are you into? Well, we do what our kids want. Yeah. Not much time for extra hobbies. But yeah, that's where we're from. That's who we are. And
Good.
She's also a worship leader.
yeah.
Chris plays guitar
Yeah.
with the band, so they're very much involved in the creative worship
Yeah, we are.
area. So super cool. And as all the viewers and listeners know, Josh plays bass with our worship team. He's a really good bass player.
I've heard.
Really good.
But not the best one that we have.
That
So-
I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
I'll,
You, James, and Miles are all fantastic bass players. All
we all have
fantastic.
different styles, though.
Definitely.
And I don't think, we'll see. And he's, I would say, like, if we were going to vote, I would say that James is actually our most talented bass player.
I don't know.
I would,
You can't
as a bass
actually-
player,
you can't do that.
as a bass player,
Yeah.
I would
You
vote.
do have a better vote.
I would
Sure.
vote that James is our most talented bass player. So
I don't know any of them, so
James
I
is
can't add a vote.
so Miles played his last Sunday yesterday for a little bit. He's taking a season off, focusing on family. So James and Josh, and actually my oldest son Ian, is gonna dip in now and then and
Nice.
play. So yeah,
Very cool.
But,
So yeah.
yeah,
roll.
Haley, it's been just great to have you here and to get to know you better. I
Yeah.
got another question for you.
Okay.
You guys went for a date night
We
last
did.
night to Black Rock.
We did.
Tell us about that
We
experience.
did.
What-
It was fun. It was
Okay.
interesting.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes.
Okay.
that was a hesitant yes.
So
Well,
too.
it was only hesitant because it took us a minute to figure it out. So for anybody that
To
doesn't
cook it?
know, Black Rock, you get your meat, like you just get your meat raw and you cook it on a
Black Rock.
a black volcanic rock.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, it just took a minute to figure it out because Chris was having trouble with the temperature because I don't think his rock was as
30 seconds on each
hot.
side, my left bit.
Yeah, it didn't quite take 30 seconds. So yeah, no, it was good though. It was a cool experience.
Yeah.
It's definitely an experience dining. Like,
Yes.
dining experience because it takes time, but it was
Yep.
fun to just kind of like.
So
chill
that's
out.
actually the thing that I love about it. So my wife and I will go there every now and then as a date.
You just, like,
and
slow down.
you know you're going to be there for at least 2.5 hours,
It's just fun.
which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of magical.
Yeah, it
So-
was really nice just to kind of hang out, people watch, and you're like cooking your food, and I feel like when you're eating slower, you don't feel as like disgusting after. You know, like when you eat really fast
And
you
red
get
meat, too.
full,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just kind of like, I ate a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This you could just kind of pace yourself.
Mhm.
And it was really nice. I
And
liked
every
it.
bite is exactly, hopefully, the way you want it.
Yeah,
Which is really
hopefully.
And
Which-
if it's not, it's your fault because you cooked
exactly,
it.
you can't blame anyone. You can't send it back.
It's true.
Can't send it back. It's a great business model. You can't. They can't really.
Yeah, really. They're like, hey, we're going to bring you food. You cook it.
Yeah.
And pay an exorbitant amount of money.
It's actually, I mean, really, for what you get.
For what you get, it wasn't-
not-
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
terrible.
It's not terrible, but it's not like what's
It is
the
a special
other-
occasion
The
dinner.
melting pot place.
Oh, the
Where it's
fondue
like
place
fondue.
is
Which I know
like
you do not
$100 a person kind of thing.
Nah, bro.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that. I don't want to pay that much money to dip food in cheese.
So yeah.
I understand that. Yeah. See, at least this wasn't just dipping. I mean, this is like steak,
Yeah.
Raw steak.
which I feel I should have clarified at the beginning. Anyone, we're like, we cook your food, and they're like, chicken? Like, do you chicken? No, that sounds dangerous.
Now
That would
it's
be
I judge, and I went there with my cousin one time.
Uh-huh.
My wife and I went with my cousin and his wife to Black Rock.
Uh-huh.
And I told them, like, if you order something other than a steak, like, I will judge you. And then he orders like a friggin' like a burger,
Like a chicken
I'm
sandwich?
I'm like, dude,
Why?
Like, why? Like, why
Why?
did you? We could have gone to McDonald's.
Yeah,
right?
no, you got to go for the full experience,
So-
and you got to do it.
So yeah, I judge people that go there and don't get. a
Though I
steak.
did wonder how they covered themselves against like people not cooking their stuff. Because I got like shrimp, I added shrimp on, and I thought, how would they protect themselves if someone doesn't know how to cook shrimp and then they undercook it and then they get food
I
poisoning?
think they've got warnings in there. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
they
if
do
you're a
at the
moron and
bottom.
I was
undercook
like,
your
we
stuff,
should be signing
like,
a waiver right now. Like, they are not responsible if you don't know how to cook.
Well, shrimp and beef though are not like chicken and pork. You can eat it completely raw.
yeah, which I don't.
Absolutely.
I would
Yeah.
never do that.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
you
because
can.
it'd be gross. But I mean, you probably could.
Yeah, you can.
Hypothetically.
Chicken and pork. You
Well, definitely not chicken.
should not do that. Yes.
Yeah, chicken, definitely
Bad
not.
news.
Yes, they were.
Bad
Which
idea.
I don't think they have any non-beef or
No,
like
not for the
seafood
raw. Like,
options for the raw.
No.
Yeah, so they're not letting you cook your own chicken.
No. So that's how they protect
How do you like
themselves.
that chicken? Medium rare? Wrong.
Yeah. Like it looking kind of clear and translucent.
So
I had someone, we were in the airport. We ate at a burger place, and I don't eat a ton of red meat. And so I was getting a turkey burger, and like you had to order it yourself. And we were laughing because it asked me how I wanted my turkey burger cooked. And I was like,
Done.
well done, please.
Yes.
Yeah, please don't keep it medium. Thank
No,
you.
that would be
Yeah.
bad.
It was just
Still
funny that they
gobbling.
gave you the option. I was like, please, people, don't be dumb. Don't do this. Anyway, so yeah, it was
nice.
fun.
So do you guys not have a Black Rock in
No, that's-
Tower, North Carolina?
In where, North Carolina?
I don't know. What did you say?
Greensboro.
We live in High Point.
Okay, well, I had the first word right.
Okay.
Would
I
you
was
say
close.
High Tower?
High Tower.
High Tower?
It's a new
North
place in
Carolina?
North
It's new.
Carolina. Go
We
check it
just
out.
named it. Yeah, go
So-
check it out. Good luck finding it.
So you'd be driving around for a while.
Yeah. No, we don't have anything like that. So that
Okay.
was like completely, like when you mentioned it to us the other night, I was like, you do what? You cook it on a, yeah, we don't have anything.
So what? Talk about High Point real quick. Like, I mean, big
Okay.
city, like small town, like
It's not
Rural-
Sturgis. It's not like small like Sturgis, but
Okay.
it's not like massive. Like, I don't know what it would be a good comparison. I mean,
What's the population?
I'm getting numbers.
About 90,000.
Oh,
oh,
it's a
so
good size
okay,
town.
so,
Yeah, it's a good sized
lot
town.
bigger than Sturgis.
Okay.
It's, I mean, we have a university there, so it's
Mhm.
college population too. And yeah, I was born and raised there. Went to school there. Went to high school there. Went to, I left for college for a little bit and then came back. And so yeah, it's a cool. I mean, we enjoy it. It's nice because it's close to like some of the others, like Greensboro, Winston-Salem. You can drive there within like 20, 25 minutes, and tons of options and restaurants and downtowns and cool areas. So we're like kind of in the middle of. Oh, you can get to a lot of places with less than an hour, which is nice. Yeah. So
3 hours from the ocean, you said,
Yeah,
and 30,
2 hours
30
from the
minutes?
mountains.
Oh, 2 hours from the mountains.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 115,000.
115,000
oh, we've
people.
added some people in the last. Okay, got it. It's
Well, then-
I
115,000.
mean, population
Popping out
trends
babies or
nationally
something.
are moving from rural America to metropolitan America. That's actually what's happening.
Yeah. So that's why I say it's not tiny, but it's not like huge either. You know, it's still got that small town feel where like you go to the grocery store and you see like everybody that you know. I mean, because a lot of people there, you know, people stay there. Like my
Yeah.
grandparents are there, my parents are there, my parents were high school sweethearts there. So yeah, my mom's parents were there. My whole family was there growing up.
There you go.
Yeah.
Chris, are you born and raised same place or no? You're a transplant. West Virginia. Okay.
Yep, transplant.
All
The
right.
best part about this is I'm not on camera.
Yeah. So West Virginia, man.
So we can't grill you because it's really awkward if we all just look
Yeah.
to the side
Right.
and,
Just look
and,
that
like,
way.
ask
Yeah, no
questions.
one wants
You
that.
could just pan
So-
a camera that way.
Yeah, so that's High Point.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, shall we jump in? Sorry, I very
No.
rudely, I've been accused of interrupting you before, and then I just did it. So,
No, I think that was a good and proper interruption because, we would have missed that opportunity.
Thank you.
Yes. Yesterday's message, Pastor Brandon Kinsey brought the message, and he was diving into the spiritual practices of silence and solitude, which would be kind of one and the same.
closely, yeah.
One and the same. And so I'm curious. I wonder what each of you, maybe some takeaways from the message were. Josh, start with you.
let me look back over my notes here. I just he made that one statement: silence and solitude recreate us physically and spiritually. And I love the practicality. Right? So he gave 3 pretty street level ideas for how you can practice this. They were, if you didn't pay attention to the message, you should go back and rewatch it, or just listen to us talk about it right now. He said, sit in silence to start your day, which you've alluded to that. That's
Yes.
part of your practice.
It is.
Right, so like the first thing when you do, maybe this is only a couple of minutes, but you just sit. Don't turn your phone on, right? Don't turn on the radio. Don't turn on, whatever. Just sit and enjoy that silence for just a little bit to start your day. The second thing he talked about was driving and listening to nothing. I've done that periodically. That's a challenge for me. I like quiet, but I like to drive with music on.
Okay.
I love music, so that one's a challenge. But then he talked about fasting from speaking, which that one's interesting
Yeah.
and a challenge to do, I think, sometimes.
What does silence and solitude look like in your life, Josh? How is that a practice that God has developed in you?
Yeah, I mean, so I try, and Kinsey alluded to this yesterday, the idea of a dog day, right? That a staff, we try to take these, once a month. But then I have like weekly rhythms to where I try to carve out time. And actually, mine is Monday mornings. So before I come do the podcast, I try to not do anything else. I find a quiet spot and just sit.
That's why your content's so good.
I was just about to say. That's why he has so many wonderful things to say. He's just been like, it's been in his mind.
You were in your cell.
Yeah. So it's just that weekly practice, the monthly practice of the dog.
Dog, tell the listeners, viewers what that is. Kinsey unpacked it, but
so dog, DAWG, day away with God. So where you take a time. My last one is actually great. You allowed me to use one of your places, and I just went sit. You're looking out the window. You've got the lake right there, and it's just it was marvelous.
It is marvelous
to just sit and be. Sometimes there's reading. Sometimes I'll read in that space. Sometimes I do nothing in that space. Sometimes I'll pray. So I'll use it for some different things.
Cool.
But
cool.
How about you?
So for me, silence and solitude is it's a big part of my morning practices, and it has grown in time, over time. And I find a lot, what resonated with me with Kinsey was when he said that he craves it. Once you've had that time just quietly with the Lord, you want more of it. Yes, there is this initial, I'll call it a hump that you have to get over, where it's like your mind is just kind of whirling and racing, and you're not really sure what to do. But then you do sort of settle into this space where God's voice becomes a little bit more clear. But silence and solitude for me is one of those practices that are, it's crucial. I'm an 8 on the Enneagram for those that know those things. And I'm red on I Said This, You Heard That. And
so his temperament, he's a choleric.
Yes, choleric. And IG on Working Genius. Basically just
let's just keep how many more?
Pretty gigged up. Did
you do Myers-Briggs?
I haven't. And I cannot figure out the APEST website.
Okay, well, so
I took a test, but I think that I thought I was taking it on your behalf, but I think I took it for myself, answering. Anyway, whatever.
Oh, you take someone else's personality test?
So, not personality.
Sorry, I know I just derailed us.
No, that's all right. So APEST, the fivefold ministry, Ephesians 4.
I don't know that one at all.
Okay,
that's a good one.
So it's the idea of you've got a guy named Alan Hirsch who has pioneered a lot of stuff within this. He looks at Ephesians 4 and talks about, you read about the idea of the fullness of Christ. And then he talks in verse 11 about, these have been given to the church, apostles, prophets, teachers, evangelists, and shepherds or pastors, depending on your translation. So he'd say that those 5 kind of roles or callings, those represent the fullness of Christ. And every believer has within them all 5 of those things, but you will have one primary calling.
A dominant.
Okay.
Right, kind of a primary calling. So they have available this 360 assessment to where you take the assessment regarding yourself, but you also ask up to 10 people to take it for you.
Makes sense.
Because sometimes we answer assessments based on this is what my job is, so this is what it even
or what I want to be.
Or what I want to be. Versus
aspirational.
you're gonna get a more rounded perspective when you ask the people that know you. Kind of like when you take like the Enneagram. I sat down with my wife.
Same.
And I'm taking it and I'm like, oh, it's this. And she's like,
yeah. My wife did the same thing.
Yeah, right.
I told people what I am on the Enneagram and people didn't believe me. And I was like, oh, I don't know how to take that. Yeah.
So what are you?
A 6.
Right on!
And we're the same one. What's that thing called?
6s on the widget.
On the widget. Yeah. So what we
Got
found is that
twins
Josh
here.
and I,
Haley is the female version
There
of
we
me.
go.
This is awesome.
Yikes.
You've got way better hair.
Thank you. I appreciate
than
that.
I have,
I'll take it. I'll take that win.
That's good. That's good.
The tests are good. I mean, I think there's a lot of clarity there that comes from those things.
Yeah.
But for me, silence and solitude initially is just not what I thought I was bent for. My whole life I've been told that I was an extrovert, and I can function that way. But what I've found as I've pressed into the disciplines and practices in the last couple of years is I'm actually not an extrovert. I can perform, right? I could do what I need to do. But ultimately I need silence and solitude. I really need it. So when we went to Florida and we were driving an hour each way to the venue where the trip was. I remember texting my wife at one point. It's like, I love these people. Like I do.
But I need them to shut up.
Just quiet. Just like just having quiet. Just
Yeah.
and not that anybody was saying like awful things or irritating things or annoying. None of that.
Just noise.
Just the sound.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm in a treated, acoustically tuned control room most of the day by myself. So
Yeah.
I have learned that silence and solitude has become very natural for me. But I love, well, we'll come back to application at the end. But at any rate, Haley, I want to defend Haley a little bit in her responses because she was working like
Yes.
camera slung, going everywhere in the building, taking photos and video.
Yep.
And so you heard bits and snippets.
I did.
If you can't speak to the message that you heard, that's okay.
Yeah.
We would just love to hear your insights as a follower of Christ and how silence and solitude resonates with you personally.
Yeah. Silence and solitude is hard as a young mom. I mean, that's just the reality of it. I think it's like that, and I'm not saying that in like an excuse way, but it is so difficult to be able to take that time for yourself, like to get away because your kids are, I mean, everybody who has kids knows kids are just loud. Like that's just what they do, you know, and they always want mom. And even sometimes like I'll tell Chris, cause I'm an introvert. So I'm like you, I need that time to just be quiet. And I've found that a lot of times that looks like dropping my kids off at preschool, and that drive from preschool to my office is, I do it without music. And I did that. Once I started doing that, I remember one day I did it by accident. And then I was like, oh, that was wonderful. Like there was nothing. It was just me. And I was just able to like pray and think and just like hear from the Lord and just like kind of reset my day almost to kind of go into a different mode. And so for me, it's like, I feel like it's trying to just find those little pockets of time, which is a lot. It's hard, but because I laugh too, because like sometimes I'll just tell Chris, I'm like, I just need a minute. Like I need a hot minute, and I'll go in our room and like lock the door. But then of course there's a little like banging on the door. So that's really not that silent, you know?
Josh knows about this.
Yeah. I feel like I have to go like sit in a corner and just, you know, like plug my ears. But I personally have always seen the like benefit in silence and solitude, because it does just like kind of, it's like a deep breath. Like to me, it feels like just taking a deep breath. Like, and you're always in, when you drown out all the noises of the world, like not even just, you know, home, and you just drown out all of that, it is so much easier. I know that I did catch when he said, you know, silence and solitude is how you hear like the will of God. Like it's how you can hear. And I think that's so true, because I am a overthinker, and I am a planner. We've talked about that. And I am sometimes an internal processor. So sometimes the loudest stuff is in my head.
Sure.
So I've got to like get silent, and I don't work with music very often. I don't work because there's just so much going on in my season of life that I've got to find the areas where I can be quiet. Was
that modeled for you either in ministry or with your parents, that value of silence and solitude? How did you come to that?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know that I'm trying to think back, like I mean in our office we value like once it's like every 5th Tuesday we have an unplugged day. So it's kind of similar to like a dog day or whatever. And that day is meant to be reserved to do whatever you need to do to get away with the Lord and to be quiet. And so I've seen it modeled in ministry through like our pastors and people who like value that Sabbath time. But I mean, Chris and I have talked a lot about that recently in our life of just needing more. I know we talked about that the other night of needing more rest and Sabbath and silent time. But it's so hard in this season of life. I mean, you know, it's just, you can't just leave your kids unattended. You can't just, you know, like it's so hard. You have to carve it out. It's feral. Impossible. Like, yeah. We just left them. Hope they're okay. We'll see. You know, the house may be standing or not.
Yep.
But I don't know where that was really modeled for me. I mean, my dad is a very thoughtful, like wise. He loves silence and solitude. Like he but he loves people. So, but he's the kind of guy, they have a wonderful back porch at their house, and he'll just like sit out there in the mornings and drink his coffee and like read the word. And so I've probably seen it in my dad more, just because he's always done that. Like he's just he loves to sit at the beach when we go to the beach in the summer and sit on the porch in silence. Like he loves that. So that's probably where I got it from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love, Haley, that you just struck the vein of Sabbath as well.
Yeah.
Because silence and solitude and Sabbath, they are different practices. They're very unique. I just listened to Ruth Haley Barton talk about the differences between these things, but they are somewhat linked.
Yeah.
Silence and solitude and Sabbath are linked. Josh, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, and I don't know that this will actually answer your question, but this is where it gets interesting in the conversations about the disciplines, because Sabbath is somewhat of a controversial topic, which, I mean, I'll be curious to hear you speak into it. I think you just posted something on your Facebook the other day.
It was
out of Ruth Haley Barton's book.
Yes.
But I think one of the dangers is turning Sabbath into something legalistic, right? So there's I think sometimes we overcorrect though.
Yeah.
We overcorrect and we're like, oh, well, hey, that was,
Jewish.
that was Jewish, which I mean, they did observe the Sabbath.
Yeah. Jesus did too.
But just what did Jesus, which I mean, you're going to get all kinds of different opinions on the Sabbath.
Yeah.
But I do think the Sabbath and to some extent silence and solitude are inextricably linked. Dallas Willard draws those connections, and it would actually say that silence and solitude are a core practice. I'm paraphrasing, so I don't know if that was his word, but kind of a core practice for Sabbath. You can't Sabbath without some degree of silence and solitude. So I think the two things are linked. Now, I do think, and this is where, kind of that being wary of, the legalism, is we have to be careful that we don't too tightly define what Sabbath is, and that looks different.
Right.
When you've got two little kids, Sabbath is going to look different than, maybe even for you, JB, with, your kids are all teenagers into adulthood versus empty nesters, right? Like Sabbath can look very different in those seasons. So
well, rest looks different for people too.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I mean, people.
What fills your soul?
Yeah. What fills you up, or what fills your cup or whatever is so different for anybody. So rest cannot be, I don't think rest can be clearly defined. But what you're saying about making it legalistic, like I totally get that, because you could say, oh, you got to check these boxes or it doesn't count as Sabbath. And like, I don't know that that's fully, I can see how it can be controversial.
Right.
Is what
well,
I'm
no,
saying.
I mean, and for me, growing up, and honestly, like as a kid, this drove me crazy. I actually, in a lot of ways, I wish I could get back to this. But look, for me, growing up, for a long time as a kid, like on Sundays, we would go to church, but then we would not play with friends. Like you couldn't go play out in the yard with the neighbors.
It's
like
family time.
I mean, it was quiet. Like if you're gonna read, I love to read, right? But if you're gonna read on Sunday, like it's got to be something that nourishes your soul. You're not grabbing that Tolkien book, and although I mean Tolkien's good stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Tolkien nourishes the soul.
Yeah.
I mean, so that there were we would never go out to eat. We would not go shopping. I mean, and some of that was cultural. But like for me growing up,
Blue laws.
like nobody was open on Sundays.
Right. Yeah.
Gradually that shifted. But yeah, so Sunday was definitely a day where you didn't.
It was like that for me too,
do a whole
growing
lot.
up. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, if things were closed, or like my parent. I mean, it wasn't like, we're not going to specifically do this thing. But like the thing that sticks out in my mind is my dad would always be like, I really need to mow the grass, but I'm not going to do it today. Like he always on Sunday, it was like the day that he was like, I'm just going to protect today. And I don't know that, I don't think he did it in a legalistic way, but it's like, that's something that I remember like very clearly, that on Sundays, he didn't do a lot of work. Like we went to church as a family. We always went out to lunch as a family and with my grandparents or something. And then it was like a day. There was not a lot planned on Sundays. And I grew up the same way. So it's interesting.
Yep.
I think I would encourage listeners, if you're interested, to check out season 17 of Ruth Haley Barton's podcast, she actually challenges a little bit of what we just talked about. So she puts forth the premise that silence and solitude are daily practices. Sabbath is a weekly practice, but Sabbath is actually meant to be experienced in community, not in solitude.
Which John Mark
Biblically.
Comer's new stuff, he talks along those veins too.
Yes.
So how does she define it?
Uh,
How does she define
Right.
what makes a day a Sabbath day?
Well, she only defines it for herself. So as
Okay.
you listen to her, she'll talk about the things that she does or doesn't do. One of the declarative things she says in the first episode and kind of reiterates is that Sabbath is a command.
It is, yeah.
It's a command.
It is.
And this is where the controversy comes
This is
in.
where the
Yeah.
controversy comes in.
Yeah.
And I have been in that and lived life there. But Sabbath really isn't the topic of this conversation. No, the topic of this conversation is silence and solitude. I think with Kinsey's message, one of the things that I love the most, and I want to hear each of you share what your thoughts on this, but I loved that he said, start where you are, not where you want to be.
Yeah.
Josh, talk about that a little bit from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes, and this is I think a fault of pastors sometimes, and this isn't knocking Kinsey because I do the same, and I don't think he did it at all. Yes,
No.
but when we talk about things, right? Maybe you're listening to the podcast, you're like, oh man, like you guys do this one whole day a month, like man, there's no way I could do that. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, sometimes we hear somebody talk about a practice and we feel like we have to jump in and do this practice the same way that they did this practice. Oh, I guess I need to carve out a couple of hours, every week. I need to do a whole day
I got to
once
give
a
it
month.
2 a.m. every day now.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
and, I mean,
I don't have
we
the time for
feel
this.
like we feel like that's the way to do this thing,
Right.
which you like for Brandon, I know for him, for myself, right? We didn't start there. Right. I mean, it used to be, and I've talked about this on the podcast, right? The first time I went through Scazzero's emotionally healthy spirituality, and you go through the daily offices and you do 2 minutes to bookend it, 2 minutes of
book.
silence at the beginning, 2 minutes at the end. And that was torture. It was like, holy cow, when are you over 2 minutes? And it was miserable.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where I started. And it's been a process. So when we talk about this idea of start where you are, not where you want to be, maybe you love the idea of an entire day away with God. Cool. Work towards that.
Yeah.
Maybe you start with 30 minutes away once a month, and that's your monthly practice. And maybe you do 2 to 5 minutes every morning, whatever it looks like for you. The point isn't to be miserable, right? So if you're miserable doing 10 minutes of silence, back it up to like 8 minutes, something, don't think you've got to reach this certain level. It's not a video game, right? We're not trying to
Right.
I got to get to level 20.
Right.
Then I'll be
And I think that when you start out, if you do it that way, I know for me personally, like when I've seen people that I admire, like whether they talk about how much time they spent in prayer, how much time they spend in the Word, and then if you set out to do the same, 9 times out of 10, you're going to fail. Like,
Why? Why do you think that is? Speak into that.
Like,
why do you think
fail?
the failure happens?
Well, I don't know that it's necessarily that you. I'm trying to explain it because, like, for me, I have felt shame. So let's use the example of, spending 30 minutes in solitude, and that doesn't happen. And then the next day, I'm like, nope, I'm supposed to. It's that
So you
legalistic
set this
mindset.
goal,
Yeah,
you didn't meet the goal,
Yes.
and then you're feeling lesser than.
correct.
Okay.
And I know for me, I'm the kind of person who I have struggled with that my entire walk with Jesus in giving that over to the Lord and not allowing that to be like condemning and shameful, but also to say, like I have a wonderful mentor who always tells me like, if it's 5 minutes here or it's 5 minutes here, it's still the same because like the Lord knows where you are. The Lord sees you, like he's a God who sees. And so I think if you start out to say, oh, well, these are the rules around X, Y, and Z prayer, the amount of time you spend in prayer or the amount of time you journal, or the amount of time you spend in silent solitude, then you're not going to you're not going to meet it. And then you're going to end up saying, well, I failed again. And I know for me, I'm the kind of person who, like, if I fail 5 days in a row, I'm going to be like, forget it.
That's right.
And then you end up back in this place of like a dry season or like in a desert because you think, I can never measure up. But that's not the point. Like, Jesus doesn't ask us to measure up, right? Like, he already did that for us. And so I think that's a good reminder for people in start where you are. Like, don't set a goal for yourself. I mean, you can set a goal, but it's like, even if it's me driving the 10 minutes from preschool to the office in silence, like, great, I did it today. And then maybe tomorrow I get 10 more minutes. But if I don't, it's okay because I still did it. And that's not to say settle for mediocre or settle for second best. But I do think that there's this, it's really easy to fall into the trap of, I didn't do it the way I'm supposed to. But like, who's defining what?
Yeah, based on what?
Right. Are we basing
I want to double click on that because I think you just really, what you were describing is comparison.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. She's describing comparison. So Josh has 30 minutes. I have 10 minutes. You have 5 minutes. And so the why behind the practice itself becomes not about this vertical connection with the Lord Jesus. It becomes more about, can I be better than the next creation, the person that's created in his image? And that is the real heart of the comparison. Yeah. Like, if you can't answer your why for Sabbath, if you can't answer your why for silence and solitude, you will fashion an idol and you will bow down before this idol, even if it's a biblical thing, even if it's a thing that brings God honor.
That's where legalism comes from.
Yes.
That's exactly where it comes from. Yeah. So
comparison.
That's good.
And the why is very important. I've got some stacks of books with some quotes in them. I'm not going to read all these, but I'm just going to say to you to read them yourselves.
Well, you got to read at least one. You went through all the trouble of like opening those up. So grab your next one. You got the next two open.
I'm going to say this one first. You need to read this book. Listeners, viewers, you need to read this book. Richard J. Foster's Celebration of Discipline, The Path to Spiritual Growth. He has a section on silence and solitude, but I mean,
I can link that. I'll just link it in the description.
Oh, you totally should.
Oh, look at
We're
that.
going to level up our production, guys.
Ruthless
Here we come.
elimination of hurry. This is probably the gateway to change. Yeah. If you are feeling a tug and a pull towards a life of silence and solitude, or as the monastic practice would call it, having a cell, a place that you would go. This is Henry Nouwen being quoted by John Mark Comer. Yes. Without solitude, it is virtually impossible to live a spiritual life. We do not take the spiritual life seriously if we do not set aside time to be with God and to listen to him. Notice that there was no quantitative things within that quote. There was no 5 minutes, 10 minutes, the things that you were really clicking on. It was just the fact that without solitude, you can't live a spiritual life. So if you're listening, watching, and you're feeling like there is another place that God wants to take you in your walk with Jesus, silence and solitude is the place to start. Probably we'll call it the Bible of this is Invitation to Silence and Solitude by Ruth Haley Barton.
That cover makes it look like a Christmas book.
It does. Everybody says that, Josh. You are.
Yeah. I didn't say that. No. Yeah. But it does now that you say it.
This is a phenomenal book. There's so much.
He has
here.
highlights all over this page that you can't see. They're everywhere.
Yes. You want to read this book. Ruth Haley Barton is a mighty woman of God. Anointed, filled with the Holy Spirit. If there are bishops and apostles in our time, whatever your perception or persuasion is on that, she's one. She is one. Silence helps us drop beneath the superficiality of our mental constructs to that place of the heart that is deeper in its reality than anything the mind can capture or express in words. It's a place of longing and desire in reaching for that which we do not yet have. In this wordless place, the whole of our person turns itself toward God and waits to be addressed by God. So part of the goal of silence and solitude is hearing from the Lord. You mentioned that, hearing
Brandon
the will of God.
Yesterday.
Let's talk a little bit more. I know we're going long. It's okay. Talk a little bit more about maybe the purposes you've discovered behind Silence and Solitude, or let's say your personal results, Josh. What has the Lord done in those in your cell?
I mean, for me, a lot of it is creating that intentional space to hear, to be able to sit and say,
No.
Lord,
Tell me what. What have you heard?
Oh, okay.
Tell me what's happened in your heart and life, and I'm going to ask Haley you the same thing.
I get more time to think.
Where is the Lord? You know what I mean? Like, what has the Lord done in Silence and Solitude? And you're like, okay, that was God, and now I know this or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll go, and I don't remember if we talked about this at the beginning of the year, but the whole my one word, right? So some of it was that, and a lot of it has been connected to that. The one word that I was given by the Lord for this year, like that's been a pretty constant theme in my times of silence and solitude, because he wanted me to learn what it was to be something, right? So my word is connected to that, and so that's been a focus of our, all right, Lord.
What's your word?
What does this
Can
mean?
you say your word?
Yeah, my word is son, S-O-N.
Okay.
So
Just curious. You just kept saying one word. I'm like, is it a
I know.
secret?
Actually, no.
Do you guys do one word at your church? At the
No,
beginning
but
of the year?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Great.
But-
Perfect segue.
Oh, my
Haley.
turn.
All right,
It's
look
my
at that.
turn. Yeah.
Boom.
My one word for the year is peace, and I think that did come to me in the times that I took to be silent. I've had a hard couple of years just navigating being a working mom, and this year I just really set out to, the Lord just really kept reiterating the word peace to me, and finding peace and I guess creating peace like through Jesus, but that being across the board. Like I remember telling someone in January, like, I want peace in my home. I want people to feel peaceful in my home. I want to feel peace in my home. And a lot of that is the Lord challenging me on boundaries and like work boundaries and home boundaries and parenting boundaries and things like that. But that has been the word that came to me in the times that I took to like ask Jesus, like, what do I do? Like, I feel, overwhelmed and burnt out and tired. And what do I do? And it just kept coming back to peace. That just kept coming back to me. And so, it's interesting you say like the one word is what came, because that's what happened too. When I pulled myself away from all of those things that distract me, or that I use as distraction, because I do that too. Peace just kept coming to me, but also the word and peace. Do you know what I mean? Like I felt peaceful in those moments as well, because the Lord gave it to me. Not just the word, but the actual peace of his presence and spirit. So
as you sit here with us today, where are you finding the most peace in your life?
Oh, that's a big question.
That's a good question, man.
Wowzers. Honestly, like this weekend has been peaceful for me. Like that's what comes to mind, because you described JB's like you wake up on the lake. Okay, so JB has wonderful properties. You wake up and you look at this beautiful lake, and it is like, this is amazing. And it was quiet. It's quiet out there. And so for me, being somewhere else, being not at home right now, but also just being away with just Chris and me, and being here and able to like it's been so peaceful for me. I haven't felt that like war in my brain of all the things going on at home that I juggle. But it's like, that's an example of, you can't just always go on vacation. You can't just always say like, peace out life. But it does attest to the fact of getting away. Like it attests to the fact of removing yourself from the day-to-day crazy, whether that's, actually physically going to another state or a vacation or just somewhere for the day. But it does speak to like, it does bring you peace, because you are removing and you're able to just like reset and reorient and like rethink your priorities and your things like that. So I think that's been great.
I think Josh and Brandon and Ryan have done such a great job in making the comparison between how a husband and wife's relationship would subsist without solitude together, and comparing that to what we do as Christians with God the Father, right? How, Josh, I think you said a couple weeks ago when you shared, how would it work if you just told your you said your kids to like make this thing or do this laundry or something, and that was your only form of communication with your wife.
Yeah, well, so it was like if hey, you're out on a date with your wife or significant other, and you gaze into their eyes, loving, you're like, hey, could you do the laundry? Later.
It's very romantic.
From a woman's perspective, do not do that. do not do that.
What's the current meme that keeps going? Dumb ways to die.
Yes. That's like a TikTok thing.
I'm not
It's
seeing that
totally,
one.
yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think that's true. Like if Chris and Haley having these few days to be away with each other, and how healing that can be for the two of you, so much more that we need that silence and solitude with just the Father. He wants to spend time with us. That's the kind of the end of silence and solitude. Is it's the heart of God. Mm-hmm. He wants to be with us, and if we will just give him that time, he will meet with us.
Yeah.
So I want to spend just a couple of minutes on this, JB. How would you differentiate between? Because I actually had a conversation with somebody last week, and it was a point of confusion. How would you differentiate between solitude and isolation?
Yes.
Because isolation is bad.
Yes.
Solitude is good.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
So I think that isolation is escape and retreat.
Mm-hmm.
It's not facing conflict, or it's not facing the realities of life and just blah, blah, I don't have to think about this. I don't have to do this. And it's also walling yourself off from God and others. Mm-hmm. Whereas solitude is saying, I am walling myself from the noise of the world, but I'm coming into the space, into the presence of God. Monastically would say the cell. And we're saying, I'm coming to listen and to hear. I'm opening myself. In solitude, we open ourselves. And many of us in our silence and solitude practices, what do? I do this. My palms are up. And it's just a symbolic way to say to the Lord, my hands are open. I'm not white-knuckled. Mm-hmm. I'm not gripping my will. I'm saying, God, my hands are open to you. Now speak. And in the quiet, that's been my greatest takeaway in silence and solitude is intercession. Mm. I hear in the silence and solitude, pray for this. It's like, oh, okay.
That's random.
That's really random. Exactly. But I begin to just intercede for that particular thing. And I find that as I press in, the groanings of the Spirit come. And then that you're in the will of God, you're praying in the will of God because the Holy Spirit starts to take over, and you have this sort of sense like, oh, I'm touching the heart of God here. Mm-hmm. And what God wants to see, our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. So in silence and solitude, we begin to see the kingdom of heaven through us on earth, but we won't know it until we're quiet enough to hear it, to listen to it.
Well, I think to summarize it, isolation is running away from something, and solitude is running towards something.
Ooh, good. Say that again.
Isolation is running away from something, and solitude is running to something. And that something would be God. Like you're running to God. Isolation is more, I am running from every single thing that's happening right now, and I don't want to hear a thing.
Well said.
Like you mentioned walling off, but that's how I think about it in summary. It's either running away or running to something.
Well said.
Yeah.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
One more, and I know, we're long, but one potentially fun, potentially dangerous conversation.
Okay, here we go. Here we go.
And if you don't want to go there, you can just tell me. But one of the things that Kinsey said yesterday,
the producer has power.
Kinsey, he read out of James chapter 3. Yeah. And he said that silence is a way, how did he say it? Silence to tame the tongue. To tame the tongue. So I thought it might be interesting to have a conversation about
I'm so nervous.
Words and language. For those of you out there that don't know, I get in trouble a lot for the things that I say. So I'd be curious.
You don't say bad words.
Well, some people think they are.
You don't curse or anything.
Some people think they are.
Yeah. So, I need you to define what we're talking about.
Well, no, but this is the interesting thing because people have different opinions about what is or is not.
Yes.
Bad language, and think, well, you should control your tongue more, Josh. Practice more silence. So again, if that's totally off track, we don't have to go there. But I was curious to pick your brains
I'm not going first.
because I know
Here's the thing I know about being an 8, and I know about being red, right? I've always got something to say. I've always got an opinion. When I first came on staff, Josh, I was in counseling with a pastor that's been a pastor for a long time, Kalamazoo, Roger Ullman, dear brother in Christ. And I would come on.
I think I've met him.
Yeah, you know Roger.
Yeah.
He is a chaplain at the Kalamazoo.
In Kalamazoo. Yeah.
So I'd come to these meetings, and I was at staff meetings, right? And I'd be listening to all you guys talk, and my mind is whirling and planning and business and blah, blah, whatever. And I would hear the Lord say to me, Josh, they didn't ask you. I would go to counseling with Roger, and I would say to Roger, the Lord, this is what the Lord's telling me. Josh, they didn't ask you. He keeps telling me this, that I need to be quiet in these staff meetings. And I'd say to Roger, I'd come into these meetings, and I'd talk the whole time. Telling them all this stuff, and it's like, Lord, help me. So I think for me, silence and solitude it's a throne thing. Like it's a get off the throne and thinking you know everything. Like you have a solution and a way to fix everything. Silence and solitude and language is a way to say you are not the smartest person in the room. You need to just listen. You need to be quiet. And if you do know something, trust the Lord's timing.
Yeah.
So for me, it's biting my tongue and speaking less in language than I'm naturally inclined to do.
No, I mean, and Kinsey had that. He posed that question. I think it was something that he took away from the elders retreat, I believe is what he said, right? That question of like, what if the only words that came out of my mouth were words that the Holy Spirit prompted me to speak?
May it be so. From your mouth to God's ears.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Haley, what do you want to say? You looked like you're deep in thought over there and just really wanted to say something.
The camera's on you, my friend.
Maybe
Do
not.
I be funny now and say, the Lord's telling me not to? No. Yeah. We're talking about silence with speaking, and you just asked me a question.
There's some irony or something
Yeah.
in there.
No, I'm the same way. I've gotten in trouble lots and lots and lots for things that I say because I am a lot like JB in that I'm a planner and let's figure this out real quick. And so I'll just speak off the cuff, which is just a really bad idea. And I also get in trouble all the time for my tone. And Chris is probably over there like...
He looks at the wall.
He looks at the wall. He's a smart man.
He did not make eye contact.
He did not make eye contact at all.
He's studying the mortar in between the bricks.
He's like, wow, this
right
is a very
now.
interesting room. Have you seen all the things? Yeah.
That's right.
But look, I admitted it and I know it. But I would say, and I think people around me would say I've grown a lot in that in the past couple of years, but I have gotten into a lot of trouble in the things that I do say. Not necessarily that they're bad, but like tone or attitude in them, or like I also wear my emotions all over my face and I wear my heart on my sleeve. And so it is hard for me to disguise how I'm feeling about something. And I am learning. I'm not even going to say I have learned. Like I am learning how to stay silent, like listen more, speak less. And then like, and also just kind of, it should I say this? Like ask myself first, don't just jump right in. And I still do it. I mean, gosh, all the time. Sometimes, I'm a very passionate person. So sometimes it just comes out and then I'm like, probably shouldn't have said that. But I think it's just constant growth in that and constant just discernment and asking the Lord for discernment and like, should I say this right now? Like, is this helpful? Is this not? And then also I think I have a tendency, and this is like maybe not on the topic, but I have a tendency to swing the opposite way and then just shut down and not speak. So like if I say too much or I get into something where I'm like, I say something that maybe offended someone or I've just done that a lot or said too much. Sometimes I'll swing the opposite way and be like, I'm just not going to say anything at all. But that's not the right heart either. Because then I'm just like, forget it. Fine. You don't want to hear what I have to say? I'll just sit here in silence. But then they know because I can't. Like this happened to me recently where someone asked me, they were like,
are you okay?
Yeah, no, they said, do you have it was, I don't even remember what the topic was, but it was just like, you look like you have something to say. And I was like, no. And then the whole time I'm thinking, and then he said, are you sure? And I'm like, don't push me. 'Cause
I'm lying.
I'm trying to use
You're not going to like what I have to
I'm trying to
say.
use self-control. Yeah, like, you're not going to like it, so I'm not going to say it. So don't make me. Don't make
Right.
me. But it's like bubbling at the surface. And so, yeah, I think there's such a it's a hard balance to strike between, should I say this? And then the whole, like, closing off and like, fine, you don't want to hear what I have to say, so I'm not going to say it anyway.
Are you melancholic
What does that mean?
on the temperaments?
I don't.
You don't know what that is?
Y'all
Okay.
have so many tests.
I said
around
this.
here.
You heard that.
I know you've told us. I haven't
my
done it yet.
gosh. For
I don't know what
marriage-
I am.
So I'd be curious to see if you've got some blue in there or melancholic in
Blue
there.
sounds
She's
like
red
I'm
blue.
sad.
I would guess.
Is this a red blue?
Yes.
Huh. So you purple?
I need to take. You need to send. I'm gonna take it now, and we're gonna see if JB
It's a
was right.
$20 workbook on Amazon. You
It's
need
awesome.
to get it. And go through it together.
Through the church, we have Right Now
Yes.
Media, which you have access to all their videos for free.
Yes, and it's free on YouTube. All their videos are free on YouTube, but the workbook is not. But that's my go-to for marriage counseling. That book
Yeah, you're telling
and
us that.
premarital as well. I don't
Red
have a lot
blue.
of.
Write it down, guys.
I-
I'll
I'm
take it,
thinking
and then
red
we'll
blue.
just see if JB's right, if he can
Yep.
peg it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There we
So.
go. All right. Well, we're hour and 5 minutes.
Well, but some of that was
that just us,
nonsense up front.
Dinking around in the beginning.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. When
okay.
when we stopped to talk with her, that's when we really.
And I'm really going for the most watched episode. So
Okay.
You could
Oh,
do
trying
it.
to dethrone.
Speaking of most watched
The other
episodes,
I
Josh.
think I can do it.
let's keep talking here
Please.
Okay. Are you going to get our?
because you could share it on yours.
updates?
We need to find out where we are for the
Our coffee party.
for our coffee party.
Which are you going to come back up for the coffee party, Haley and Chris?
Depends when the coffee party is.
Right.
Are you paying for the ticket?
Well said, sir. Okay, cool.
Where we
So
at?
we're at 736 subscribers.
Okay.
And
So
what
we
are we
gonna
got
get
up a
to?
couple.
I forget.
750.
Oh, we got this.
And we're going to
750.
have a coffee. We're going to have 750 subscribers. We're going to have a coffee event. We're going to do, we're going to pull some shots. We're going to do some clever drippers, some Colitas. We'll do some Chemex. We'll do some cold pours.
Shots of espresso.
Yes.
All black coffee.
Delicious.
Can't wait.
No,
I'm,
we'll-
just kidding. I'm kidding.
We'll make
I'm
lattes and cappuccinos
I'm totally
too.
kidding.
I'll
Yeah.
make a cortado. We'll do some cortados.
So
do
only
some
14
Americanos.
more.
14 more people
Man.
subscribed. And remember, like Radiant Reflections is just a small part of the Radiant Life Church YouTube channel. Like every week, Haley puts out our
Sermon?
our sermon and our music.
Full service. Yep.
Yep.
No, I mean, let's be honest. Rear Reflections might be the coolest part of our YouTube channel.
I don't know. I try to make cool graphics.
Oh, you
for,
do?
I make
Yes.
cool thumbnails. So at least I
We
make
talked
the cool
about that.
thumbnails, and then I I hook them in, and then they can
Yes.
watch. Yeah.
Yes.
No,
That's
it's
good.
good. It's all good.
Okay, but now there should be some sort of like challenge out there. Like if your episode surpasses Bearded Josh's episode, like what should we should I don't know. There should be something in there.
Some kind of celebration.
We gotta think of something.
Yeah.
We gotta think of something. But
Maybe
this
then-
has been
maybe then we buy their tickets to come up for the coffee.
Hey,
party.
there we go.
There you go. If
we
I
go.
win, I get to come back.
episode, what was this? 23.
23.
And don't forget, not only subscribe, but like and subscribe and share this. The best place to see the podcast grow is to share the YouTube or the audio feed to your Facebook page. Facebook is powerful.
Yeah.
Let your friends and families know what's important to you. So we want to encourage you to share this to your Facebook page. If you're on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review. The reviews help the algorithm beast get fed, which makes our podcast more known to strangers, not people that are part of Radiant Life Church.
Algorithm
So,
beast.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's an animal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Spotify, if you're a Google Play person, Android.
We
should
love
just
you.
talk about
We
that.
love you, even though you have inferior taste in product.
And with that, we just lost 10 subscribers.
Guys. No.
No. So,
But I
hey,
said we love them still.
we do. Yeah.
just a
Even
little
if they
less.
turn our text messages green. Yes.
And
No.
jack up every group
Yeah.
thread
And like
ever.
everything we do and they thumb it up, it copies the whole thing. And
Look, okay, but we had to deal with it on the flip side too. Whenever it would be like JB reacted to whatever.
Did you see what just happened, listeners, viewers? Someone just outed themselves.
I did.
As an Android user.
I did. Unfortunately, I did do that.
That might hurt your chances of surpassing
it's at the
all
end,
of
they'll
us.
never know. They'll have watched this whole thing already and they'll have fallen in love with me. And then all of a sudden they'll be like, boom.
Confidence.
Ripped it out. There you go.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Blessings to you guys. We will be back next week, next Wednesday, with another episode of Radiant Reflections. We'll see you then.
That's Josh's thing.
Oh, you
It
did
is.
it. Nice.